Hello and welcome to this episode of the Capable Minds podcast. Today we have Marco Formizano, co-owner and co-founder of comparethehealth.com. Please remember to go to our channel, like and subscribe. It helps us to grow. And before we get started, I want you to ask yourself one question. What makes you capable?
Capable Minds podcast.
Hey, Marco, thank you for coming on the podcast. So if we can start by you telling me how Compare the Health come about, when you started, who's involved, and all the little juicy details.
Yeah, of course. First of all, thank you, James, for having me on. So Compare the Health, at the moment, there are three of us, and we are an online health and fitness directory. Essentially, there are, at the moment, 15 specialist categories. There is scope to expand those categories. We're not limited to just the 15.
Yeah.
We did actually add another one last week for osteopaths. So whenever there's a need or a demand for a category, we can add them on. It really is just a revolutionary new way to find health and fitness specialists all over the UK. So we're based all around the UK. We're in a lot of the major cities at the moment: Cardiff, Manchester, London, Glasgow, Liverpool, so Bristol, and then a few of the other smaller ones as well.
Yeah.
But that's essentially what our main bread and butter is the health and fitness directory side of things.
Yeah, I've never really heard of anything like that, to be honest. So when I think about it, when I was younger maybe and I was looking to get into the gym, that would have been something that I probably would have looked at, just to give me an idea of what is out there, who can help me, people around that are close, in the local gyms to myself to help me get involved. So that's definitely something I probably would have looked at when I was starting my journey.
Yeah.
So when did this idea come about?
So I started in a new role. I used to work in retail for a few years, obviously, as you know, and I wanted a change in career. So I started a new role elsewhere, completely different sector. And when I started that role, I started with the other co-founder, Ryan.
Okay.
Ryan Joshua. We got along great. We were on the same intake and we got along great when we first met, and both had like a passion for health and fitness. He used to train quite regularly, but he was more into the boxing MMA side of things.
Yeah.
And we would just have a chat about just everything, health and fitness, football, just got along like a house on fire, really.
I will say, I have met Ryan myself, and he's literally a legend. He's such a laid back, nice, genuine guy. So I think you two together make a really good sort of pair, because you're both very calm, you're collected, you both got a good vision.
Yeah.
And you're both amazing to speak to. And in the future, I do want to put on camera that when the channel grows, I would like to have you both on.
Yeah.
Look forward to that one.
He's a top guy, man. I don't have a bad word to say about him at all.
So where did the motivation come from? Why did this start? Who came up with this idea? How did it start? I want to know those details.
Yeah, of course. So like I said, we both had a passion for health and fitness. Ryan was actually toying with the idea of becoming a personal trainer. I did some qualifications. So I started which I'm still studying at the moment, Open University degree studying health science, and I've got a CPD in nutrition and weight management as well. So I was kind of helping people on the side, and with my own experience of training, just helping people on the side, just if they needed help or any guidance.
Yeah.
Ryan was toying with the idea of going into the personal training world, and he essentially just thought it's such a cutthroat industry, as you know, and it's so competitive.
There's so many about.
Oh, so many.
It's saturated.
It's saturated. Yeah. It's saturated. So he just thought, is there a way for someone who wants to do well in this industry to advertise their services in a place where people are only going to find those types of specialists or professionals? I mean, you can market your Instagram in a certain way, your Facebook, but essentially you're casting your net way too wide there, because there's so many people who are on there who are just not interested in that content. So we just wanted to, Ryan actually approached me with the idea. He said, we were working one day, and I remember, I'll never forget it. He was like, are you free to go for a coffee in the week sometime? And I was like, bear in mind, we were like friends in work and that, but we hadn't done a lot outside of work. So I was just like, yeah. he was like, oh, I've got like this idea that I kind of want to run past you. I was like, right, okay, no worries. He goes, I think, me and you together, we can really make this work and make it grow. I was like, oh, okay, no worries. So we went for this coffee, and Ryan, he's very meticulous in his work, and he turned up with this like deck essentially.
Yeah.
It was a folder full of, he's quite good at graphic design work, so he's like, created how he'd want it to look and how it would function. It was like the very, very first prototype of the Compare the Health website, and I don't know whether I still have that because he gave it to me to keep. I'm pretty sure it's somewhere.
That'll be interesting to look at.
Yeah, definitely in a few years' time. So he ran through the concept with me, and at first it was like, it was only a few specialist categories. It was like personal trainer, sports massage, nutritionist, maybe like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And straight away I was just like, I mean, 100%. Like I'm more than happy to try and make this work. I mean, from that very first prototype to where it is now, it's changed and evolved so much. Yeah. As you can imagine.
I've seen it myself. I've seen, obviously we go way back. I've seen the work that you guys have put in, and I can see it's always evolving. It's really good to see, to be fair.
Yeah.
So just bring me back to that conversation. At what point was he speaking to you about Compare the Health when you thought, like, 100% like that, I want to be involved?
It was like, he basically just showed me the concept originally, and he said, there are a few health and fitness directories out there, but they mainly specialize in one type of area.
I see.
And there wasn't anything that connected all the dots out there, and I just thought, me and Ryan as a team, we can really, really build the foundations. I think every entrepreneur needs some form of naivety. You need to believe that what you have is going to work, because 100%. Otherwise, what's the point?
I agree.
But I think we were maybe a little bit too naive as we struck gold with this idea. Give it a year and we'll be multi-millionaires. And like, as anyone who's been in business for a long time realizes, that's just not the case.
Yeah.
I just love the concept, and especially for me, for my own personal journey. I just knew that this platform, from the comfort of your own home, if you are an anxious person, if you are someone who doesn't have much self-confidence, and you don't want to put yourself out there straight away to, go to a gym and try and be paired up with someone, you've got the comfort of finding those people from your own home, on your desktop, on your mobile. And the same thing for, if you've got any injuries, if you need to see a physio, or you want to see a chiropractor to just get some maintenance work, it's the same thing again. You don't have to go trawling through Google searches.
Yeah, sure.
There's a reliable platform for everything and for everyone.
Sure. So we've covered kind of what Compare the Health offers to the consumer, the customer, the people who are looking for the personal trainers or the chiropractors or the physios. But what does Compare the Health offer specialists in, like, specifically? So for myself, I'm a PT. I am on there, and I've had a bit of referrals from there. It's actually worked quite well for me, to be honest. And I've had a load of inquiries and conversations with potential clients, and a couple have actually come on board. So myself personally, I've seen the benefit, but I'm just in the PT industry, so more from a broad sense. So say you said you had 15 different types of specialists. Yep. So what did we get out of that by being on Compare the Health? Yeah,
it's a good question. Just to clarify, the 15 as well, they're quite a broad range of specialists. So there's personal trainer, there's online coach, there's nutritionist, there's sports massage therapist, there's chiropractor, there's physiotherapist, there's boxing / MMA coach, there's meal prep team, gymnastics coach, yoga instructor, osteopaths. So there's quite a few. I haven't even named them all there. So, but that's just so people can understand what type of specialist. We're not we have had people a bit confused sometimes in the past, and they're like, right, is this more of a medical kind of platform? And it's not medical. It's not GPs and doctors. It is just the health and fitness kind of domain. When we will be looking to expand, which I'll go into that a bit further later on. But in terms of what we offer to those specialists and those
Yeah.
categories, we do have a few USPs. So essentially, like I mentioned earlier, it is just a platform where that is the sole purpose of the website, and hopefully in a few years the app as well.
Yeah.
There's no other reason for people to go on there. Like I said, you can promote your services on on your Facebook or on your Insta or whatever, but that that is oversaturated, and you're casting it out too wide. You're going to be hitting people that are not really interested in that,
Yeah.
in what you're offering, whereas this is a website geared for people to go on and find those specialists. In terms of more things, USPs that we offer specialists, we have a review system, so you can get your clients to review your work, so and there's a 5-star rating system, so
Yeah, that'll probably give people comfort as well in terms of
massive.
so say for example, my mum,
Yeah.
she's quite an anxious person
Yeah.
when she goes into the gym anyway. So
Yeah.
rather than approaching someone and not knowing beforehand if they're any good
Yeah.
or what people have said about their work, she can kind of have a look at their reviews and read what they've said, and then she can gauge if it's someone that she thinks that she would click with
Yeah.
on that professional level. So
Yeah. Spot on. And we've done some consumer research. So we put surveys out to the general public and to specialists, and reviews were like pretty much in the top 3 for both the two different types. Like, can I get my customers' reviews on there? And the general public then asking, would I be able to see reviews? So that's one of the first things that we, through the iterations, one of the changes that we made to like iteration 2 or 3 was, right, let's get the reviews in. So that's now live. So now you can see reviews on there. You can see the star rating as well of the specialist. We advertise specialists. We can also create, thanks to Chris, who I haven't mentioned yet, but I'll go into Chris and a bit more about what he does. We can actually create websites for any specialists that are looking for that. We can create social. We can create like social posts as well. So we offer a wide variety of of marketing. The main USP of the business is the fact that you are generating more leads, more clients, more of a revenue. And there's there's no end really to how much. The more we grow, the more everyone else on the website grows. There's 3 ways that a specialist can be contacted, as long as you're willing to provide that information, and that's mobile, email, and we have an instant online messaging service too. So it's a very easy way to for people to contact specialists and keep in touch with them. And we are in one of the further iterations going to be adding a CRM tool as well. So this is for the specialists to be able to actually, and this is for the premium specialists, which I'll go into a bit more in a minute, but they will be able to use this tool to arrange meetings via Zoom, or maybe not Zoom, but whatever software we use at the time, but arrange video meetings, arrange things in calendars and diaries, have everything as a customer relationship management tool. So everything under the compared health spectrum. So you can be gaining clients through there, but then you can also be maintaining what clients you have through there as well. So it's just an extra perk for those specialists.
I see, yeah. So for example, with some of my clients, I do a check-in.
Yeah.
So if I check in with them once a week, we can do that through Compare the Health
Spot on.
in the future,
Spot
rather
on.
than doing it
Yeah.
over another service.
Spot on.
We can
Yeah.
do it through the app or the website.
Yeah.
And we can create that booking simultaneously on my end and their end.
Spot on.
Oh, that's amazing, actually.
Yeah.
I'll look forward to that.
Yeah.
So in terms of investment, did you, obviously I know all the work that you guys have put in with the website and everything, and I know that that's not cheap. So did you get investment, or was this something that you both sort of saved up for, or is this something that you haven't done yet that you would be looking to do in the future? Talk to me a bit about the investment side. Yeah,
so we haven't actually procured investment yet.
You've done well. You've done very well.
Yeah, so like you said, it hasn't been specifically cheap, shall we say, to get this off the ground ourselves.
Of course.
But there's a risk in business. You have to make the decision to to take the first step and to at least try. Otherwise, you're just going to be stood where you are for the rest of your life. So
I hear you.
yeah, so no, we haven't procured investment yet, but that is something that we are currently toying with.
Don't wanna say too much.
No, we can go into a bit more detail. I mean, Tramshed Tech has helped us a lot, and if Sophie watches this podcast, thank you, Sophie, because she set us up with that. So Tramshed Tech essentially are like a startup incubator.
Okay.
So they basically help with the run up to procure an investment. So they'll just basically help with any questions that you need, and then they give you like this pack to fill out, and you fill out all the questions. So it's things that investors look for. So your 3-year forecast, your pitch, the team and what they offer and what each person does. Everything is quite extensive, but they've helped with that. So we could potentially be going down that route. It all depends on what the next couple of months offer, because we are in negotiations with a 4th member of the team joining, which is quite exciting. Probably can't say too much at the moment because it's not over the line yet.
That's fine. But it's good to know that you're expanding the team.
Yeah.
So that actually brings me on to the next question. Post-investment or on the run-up to investment, what are the sort of short-term goals of Compared Health, and where do you see this in, say, I don't know, 5 to 10 years' time? What are the goals for the team of Compared Health? Yeah,
so short-term goals, I would say just iron out the creases that we have at the moment, which is to essentially increase our brand awareness. We need to, plug a bit more into the marketing side of things. We do need to change the way, the UX journey, so the user journey, the way that general public essentially finds a health and fitness specialist. It's very simple as it is at the moment. It's about 3 clicks and you found someone.
Yeah.
But we want to make it so we're kind of bringing that process to you rather than the way that it is at the moment. Not that it's hard at the moment. We've had loads of feedback to say it's super easy, but we're going to make it even easier.
Yeah.
And that hopefully, if the 4th member of the team joins, he's going to be detrimental. He's going to be, really, really, really a big player in getting that over the line and making that possible. So short-term goals: increase brand awareness, increase the general public using the website all over the UK, not just in South Wales. Just really get our name out there a bit more. I mean, long-term goals, we really do believe, and again, you need to have a sense of naivety, we really do believe that we can be the main player in this industry across the whole of the UK.
Yeah.
We do believe that we can create a platform that can help millions, both on the specialist side, gaining new clients, gaining them more revenue, and on the consumer side, making it a lot easier for people to start their fitness journey, or to go to yoga classes, or I did my first yoga class this morning, actually.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I did see on your Instagram story.
So
I did see it.
Go to your first yoga class, or do the boxing coaching. I mean, Nick, boxing coach in UFit, he's on the site, and he's doing really well. So, and he's getting so many people, men, women, just everyone who've never even thought about doing boxing before, coming in and doing the class, and they're loving it. So, but those people would never have even thought about doing that before. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think we can just make such a huge positive difference to millions across the UK.
Yeah.
So that's
I love the ambition. I love the goals. I love being around driven people. So it's amazing to hear that your dreams for the business are that big, because I believe in you as well. I believe in Compared Health. So
thank you.
In terms of a personal approach, then, do you have your own short-term goals and long-term goals, like personally?
Yeah.
So if we separate the Compared Health and yourself, where would you like to see yourself in the short term and long term? Yeah.
Personal development is massive, and I think if you can't look back over the course of 12 months, maybe a year to 2 years, and you don't really recognize that person much, I think that's a good thing. You want to continuously improve year on year, and as cheesy and as cliche as it might sound, there's a saying that I heard not long ago, actually, that says something like, every day in every way I'm getting better and better.
Yeah.
And it's really through just investing in yourself, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically, just across the spectrum. So for me, really, is just my personal goals is just to be a better person overall, year after year after year after year after year. Obviously, as part of my personal goal is to compare the health to where we believe it's going to be. That could take 5 years, it could take 10 years, I don't know. But I'm in this for the long haul. And essentially, I do want to maybe, depending on how this goes, start other things in the future. Of course, personal goals in terms of, family and social life. I do believe that health is wealth and health is number one. That's the most important thing, for me anyway, personally. Without our health, we don't have nothing.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Secondly, I think relationships are probably the most important thing. So that's family, as friends. So a goal of mine is just to keep my family and friends, good, close, tight knit around me.
Definitely the most important thing.
100%.
A good support network. People underestimate how powerful that is to have supportive people around you. Relationships, family, friends. People looking after you, and it gets stressful. Like running a business, it gets very stressful, and having people around you who can kind of put their arm around you and say it's going to be fine, sort of thing, and just keep pushing you along that upward trajectory. Because, like you said, over time it does compound. It's like same with investment. It hopefully compounds and it gets bigger and better as time goes on. So I definitely hear you in that sense. So along the way of this business with Compare the Health, what sort of obstacles have you guys hit? Like, has there been any major obstacles that you've had to sort of overcome? Like, how did you overcome them? And then in contrast to that, can you tell me what's been so far the best moment for you guys running Compare the Health?
Okay, that's a good question. Obstacles, you'll find them every day, everywhere you look. There's always something where you think we need to improve that. That's not working. It's just different iteration after iteration after iteration. You just try, fail, try again, fail, try again, fail, try again, fail, try again. Oh, actually, this works. Try something else, fail, and so on and so forth. Our main, obstacles to begin with, because our brand awareness is, well, it's a lot more, in the light now than it was originally. But originally, it was tough to get people to sign up, specialists, because we were just no one knew who we were. We didn't have that credibility and that leverage. I mean, now thanks to some of the work that Chris has done, he's our SEO specialist, and he handles a lot of the marketing side of things as well. And
just for the watchers, with the SEO, what is SEO and how is that helping Compare the Health?
I'm gonna butcher this, so sorry, Chris. But basically, SEO stands for search engine optimization, and it's essentially how well your website is picked up in searches.
I see.
So if you're searching personal trainer Cardiff, how powerful our website is when it comes to Google and Bing and other search engines, how far up on the page we go. So people obviously who use Google or Bing or whatever search engine you use, you're probably never going to go past page 2. Let's be completely honest. So you want to be on page 1 near the top.
So that's the sort of thing that Chris does for Compare the Health.
So Chris is the specialist in getting our rankings up as high as we possibly can across. There's so many different terms that we need to rank across because we're a UK wide. You've got to think there's specific SEO pages that Chris has worked on. He's done so much behind the scenes, and we definitely would not be in the position that we are at the moment without Chris. So
would you say that was the biggest obstacle then, getting yourself into more consumer and customers' screens, should we say? So when they're searching, because you've got to think, when you said earlier that you had the 15 specialist categories, so in terms of SEO, search engine optimization, he's trying to optimize if someone puts personal trainer Cardiff, physio Cardiff, Physio Liverpool,
all across the UK.
all them different,
All different
cities,
categories.
all them 15 specialist categories, and he's trying to optimize all of them.
So he's got a mammoth task.
That's
like,
a
do you
big
know what I
job,
mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
Big up Chris.
Yeah. For Jesus, yeah. So he's and don't get me wrong, he's only one man.
Yeah.
So there's only so much that he can do. He's got the knowledge, he knows what to do, but a lot of it sometimes is the time. He doesn't always have the time, which is why if we procure investment or whether we go down a business loan route, we're not 100% sure yet. But whether we do whatever route we do go down to get a bit more of a budget, we can use that to help Chris with what he does, because he's got the knowledge, but he can then outsource some of this stuff. So yeah, obstacles, getting people signed up, getting the general public to actually use our website as well, because again, you're a brand new company. People are like, never heard of these before.
Of course, yeah.
I don't want to, you've got to put your name, your email.
Yeah.
You send a message to the specialist. They're like, oh, these could be dodgy. Why? Do you know? If we get that brand awareness out there and that leverage, then that's not going to be an issue, because we're just going to be like a household name. They're going to be like, oh yeah, Compare the Health.
100%. So in contrast to that, then, what's been would you say, the best moment of Compare the Health and your journey so far? Like, what stands out to you as being like, yeah, that was a fucking great moment of the business so far?
I know we've just spoke about it, but probably getting Chris on board, that was probably one of the main massive turning points, because me and Ryan, I've got marketing background and sales background. Ryan has a sales background, and he's very good at like graphic design and stuff.
Yeah.
And so he looks after a lot of our social media and stuff. But there's only so far that me and Ryan could take it, and it was actually by going to a chiropractor that I met Chris. I went to a chiropractor and was speaking to him regarding Compare the Health, and we need to get our name out there a bit more. And he said, have you worked on your search engine optimization? I heard that term thrown around a bit, and I just didn't know what it really meant. And he recommended Chris, because Chris did the SEO work for him.
I see.
I met Chris, and that was massive turning point. And I think another big turning point is going to be if this fourth member of the team joins as well, because he's got such a vast amount of knowledge when it comes to web development.
Yeah.
And he's really going to propel us even further.
What would he bring to the table?
A lot.
What are you hoping he would bring to the table?
Yeah, hoping he'd bring a lot. He's basically based in web development.
Okay.
He's got a bit of a coding background and stuff. So yeah, he's going to really help improve our website. Not just how it looks, but the functionality as well, how quick it is, and how you get from A to B. And like I said earlier, the UX journey, the user journey, how easy it is to find a specialist if you're in the general public. I mean,
yeah, you want it to be fast. You want it to be fast, don't you? Like, if someone goes on there, you don't want it to. We want to at the moment for a lot of people who don't understand, I don't really get it. It's not my area of expertise, but we're using WordPress at the moment. Okay.
So we know that's not adequate for when our traffic levels hit a certain amount. So we want to kind of steer away from that, and we want to make it so the search engine is on our homepage and it pre-populates as you start typing. So we just want to make it a lot more high tech, and we think the fourth member of the team is really going to do that, really going to help us do that. And I haven't mentioned this yet, but it is probably worth mentioning that without a solid team and a solid foundation, there is no way that we'd be in the position that we're in now. And we haven't made it, don't get me wrong, but we're a live running business, and there's people signing up. I mean, we've had I think in the past 2 weeks, thanks to some marketing that we've done, we've had I think it's around 15 people sign up to the website, specialists, and we've got the general public actually using it to find specialists. So we're live, and we're actually making a difference as it is.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But we just need to scale it further. But yeah, I think without the team, without Ryan and Chris, and obviously the fourth member of the team, if they join, it would be impossible, basically.
So yeah, it sounds So in terms of like you said earlier, you and Ryan could only ever really take it so far
Yeah.
because of your limitations in terms of your
Specialties.
abilities and your
expertise.
specialties. Yeah. So it sounds quite pivotal, you being able to bring people on board, which is probably essential for majority of businesses.
Yeah.
Because, like I say, they take you to the next level, and then the next level, then the next level, and then you might hire someone else, and you might go up again.
Yeah.
So it's always about leveling up and bringing more people in and expanding the business.
Yeah.
So yeah, that actually sounds perfect, and it sounds like something that most businesses should always try to do if they can. But then it just comes down to the investment side of it and all that sort of thing, doesn't it? The nitty gritty.
Yeah. That's it.
So we're playing around with shares and stuff then, aren't we? So yeah, we'll leave that for another day. So in terms of like exit plans for the business, I know we spoke about the long-term and the short-term goals earlier.
Yeah.
Is there something you can ever see yourself exiting from, or is it something that have you even had a conversation about that? Say, I don't know, in 5 years' time, if it's doing a certain amount of revenue, or if it grows to a certain point, would you guys want to get off that train, or?
It has been spoke about briefly, but we're still nowhere near where we want to be for that to happen. I think, you know, me, Ryan and Chris have had conversations, and in an ideal world, we build this to a place where we help millions of people, and, you know, the website is pretty self-sufficient, and it's ticking every box, and a big player comes along and sees what we're doing, and he sees that the service is actually a pretty good one, and he sees the amount of data that we have, because it's probably worth mentioning that data is, you know, king in this day and age. Sees the amount of data we have from a specialist point of view, and maybe even a general public point of view, and they think, wow, you know, this is pretty decent, and they offer to take it off our hands. And, you know, if the money's right and we all agree as a team, it would always come down to a team decision. You know, no one would be able to say, oh no, we're definitely doing it, don't care what you say. It would be down to the team, and if the price is right, then why not? But we're miles away from even thinking about that.
But big aspirations to grow the business. So to even, I don't know, maybe in 3 years' time, if anyone even come to you and asked, or would want a conversation with you and the other directors of the business about potentially buying it, even if they ask that question, like, that's massive. Like, they obviously see the business doing well, and just for someone to be interested in something like that, that would be huge. That
would be a massive tick for us, because obviously it shows that we're doing something right.
Exactly.
But yeah, just I guess we cross that bridge when it comes.
Yeah. So in terms of other businesses, do you have time? Like, would you ever consider starting another business, or maybe doing something on your own outside of Compare the Health and the team there? Like, is this something you've ever thought about?
Not now, not at the moment, only because I've got quite a hectic schedule as it is.
Yeah.
So I would just be spreading myself too thin if I tried to do anything else now. In the future, when I've got more free time, a bit more financial stability, I have thought about it, obviously. So Compare the Health is helping people on a macro scale. It can potentially help millions of people across the UK, and even actually across the world. We're not limited to just the UK, but for now, obviously, it's easier just to stay in the UK.
How good would that be? Like, it's someone in America or Australia or Asia or Africa searching for specialists in that continent.
And the way the website is set up now, we can actually do that. We can actually sign people up from different countries. We need to change some of our legal policies, our terms and conditions, because at the moment they're based on the UK. But our website, the way it functions, people from Australia could sign up, people from America, people from anywhere. As long as you've got internet access, you can sign up.
Yeah, because I was thinking, like, if someone was to go, I don't know, on a traveling trip to, I don't know, North America, something like that, from the UK, and they're used to having a personal trainer or a sports massage every sort of couple of days or whatever, when they're there, they can search and
Yeah.
personal trainers or sports masseuses or physios in that area, and then they can get the same service in that country as they could back home.
Yeah.
So whilst they're away, they can search for reputable specialists and still get the same sort of treatment or quality of session
Yeah.
whilst they're the other side of the world.
Spot on, yeah. And like I said, that it could potentially get to that one day.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it is. That's what I mean. This is why I say it's like the glass ceiling for compared to health is massive. It's huge. It's not, you know, it's extremely scalable on a macro level. So yeah, that kind of, you know, takes care of itself. But then I have thought about in the future, you know, like I said, if more financial stability, more time, making a change more on a micro scale. So potentially I've toyed with the idea of maybe opening either like a camp or something geared towards the younger generation. So, but more like kids, you know, like between the ages of maybe like, you know, 7, 8 to maybe up to like 12 or something.
Yeah.
To get them into, you know, sport and fitness and something along those lines. So some kind of complex, some kind of camp, some kind of gym, but for those age ranges, just because I think it's so important for people to, you know, to start being active at a younger age, but not just because of your health and your fitness, but because of the social relationships you build as well. You know, just from like if you play sport, for example, everyone knows the benefit that has. You know, mentally from a group perspective and a social relationships perspective. So yeah, that's always been in the back of my mind. So
I think that would be amazing, to be fair.
Yeah.
Because there's so many kids these days, you know, they're stuck. I'm here holding an iPad, but kids are literally like this on their iPad all day, every day. They get home from school, they want to go on the iPad.
Yeah.
They want to watch YouTube, they want to play their video games or whatever. So I think anything that anyone does, whether that's Compare the Health or any other sort of organisation or business to help kids and younger people get into sport and being involved socially, part of a team, part of an organisation, I think that would be like really beneficial to the UK as a whole. Because the UK, let's not beat around the bush. Like the UK is suffering an obesity sort of pandemic. People are fatter. People are getting more unhealthy as they get older. They're falling into bad habits. So I think the earlier, like you say, get kids moving, part of a team, part of making more friends in a health and fitness setting. I think because kids are they're influenced easily.
So easily.
So I think if they start young, that could take them through into a healthy life through the journey of their life, you know?
For sure. And that's it's one of the things on, like, but that would be more of like a micro scale, do you know what I mean? So that wouldn't be, you know, all over the UK. It might be just one camp or, you know, facility here and maybe another one there, but it would just be it'd be a lot more of like a closer, tight-knit community feel kind of thing. But yeah, that's something that's been in my mind as well.
Sounds amazing. So in terms of like inspiration and motivation, that sort of thing, are there any names that sort of stick out in your head who, you know, you might read their book, you might watch their podcasts? Is there certain people that you take inspiration from, not just in a business point of view, but like a personal as well? Like are there certain authors or podcasts that you watch religiously, sort of thing, that you get a lot of value from?
I mean, the first few names that spring to mind, they're pretty cliche, but they're like the new kind of entrepreneurial leaders. The new young entrepreneurial leaders, and that's Ben Francis, Lewis Morgan. So they're the main two co-founders of Gymshark. I think Lewis Morgan actually started Monnaie Devoir as well, and he's moved on to a few other projects. And obviously, Ben Francis is now the CEO of Gymshark. So he's not just the founder; he's actually running this multi-billion dollar company. At his age is absolutely blows my mind.
What they've done is crazy, to be fair.
Absolutely crazy. So they, you know, too, you have to take your hat off to them and say you've absolutely destroyed it. So yeah, look up to them. Fair play to them. Absolutely destroyed it. Another one, Steve Bartlett. I know obviously he started a social media company, social media advertising company at a young age.
I like his podcast as well, to be fair.
Diary of a CEO, yeah. So he started that at a young age, and I don't know whether he still has that or whether he sold it, but I know that's originally how he, came into some money, and he then started Diary of a CEO, which has just absolutely skyrocketed. But he put up something on LinkedIn not long ago, and I remember saving the picture and sending it in our group, and it was the first 4 years of the Diary of a CEO.
Yeah.
And it was before he had his leverage. Like he had a bit of money behind him before, but that just showed that it meant nothing, because for 3 years his subscribers were like minimal. Like he was I don't know exactly how many it was, but then it got to year 4, and he must have had someone on as a guest, and it's just skyrocketed the whole podcast, and the trajectory now is just through the roof. And yeah, it was a really, really good visual of just stick at it. You as long as you're consistent, and you're willing to pivot, and you're putting in the work each week, you will succeed.
There's no reason why not.
Yeah.
Consistency is key.
Yeah.
I think, I'm always one to say consistency breeds success.
Yeah.
I love that thought, that saying, and I always try and promote consistency to people, whether they're doing business or whether they're training in the gym.
Yeah.
You've got to be consistent if you want to see results, and it applies to life. It applies to everything. So yeah, I hear you on that. So I want to go into the special segment of this podcast now, which is called Defining Moments.
Yeah.
So I've already spoke to you previously before you come on, and asked you to bring in 3 pictures which define your unique journey so far, and I want you to explain them to us and the watchers at home on why each of these pictures are special in your journey. So
yeah.
Do you want to start by showing us the first picture?
Defining moments.
Okay, so the first photo it's not this photo per se. It's not specifically this image that is life-changing, should we say, but it's the person who I was back then. So, teenage years, quite low confidence, quite low self-esteem, didn't really invest in myself at all.
What age are we talking here?
So that photo, I was 18 years old. Okay. But even probably from the age of, I don't know, maybe like 13 up until around 20 years old, 21 years old. Quite quiet, quite shy, didn't want to really voice my opinion, insecure, no self-esteem, didn't think I deserved much. Mm-hmm. And I know there's going to be thousands, maybe even millions of people across the UK who feel like that, even into their adult life. I mean, luckily for me, it got to a point where I did start investing in myself, and when I say investing in myself, I mean personal development. So not just physically. I did start going to the gym, and I've got you to thank for that. I've always said, and every time the conversation gets brought up, and you kind of just dragged me when I didn't really want to go, and it just changed my whole perception on everything. And you when you start getting comfortable in your own skin, as soon as you start getting that bit of confidence, you then put yourself in positions where you are more uncomfortable, because you're like, okay, well, I was uncomfortable here and I've felt okay and I've come out on top and I feel good, and okay, I'll put myself here, and all of a sudden that's when you really start to grow, when you're putting yourself in these uncomfortable positions, which I keep trying to do now, to be honest. Always trying to put myself in, you don't want to drown, but you need to push the boat out a little bit. So yeah, essentially that photo just symbolizes what I used to feel like, and I know that there's hundreds of thousands of people out there who do feel like that as well. And it's just, one of the main reasons why I did really want to get involved with Compare the Health, because there's people who are low on confidence, who are shy, who, not really putting themselves out there, low self-esteem.
So if we say, being that 18-year-old kid in this picture, if Compare the Health was around back in that day, would that have been something that you would have gone for?
100%, and I'll tell you why. Because I remember being in my room one day, and I was, you obviously knew what I was like. I was really, really, really skinny as a kid, and I remember being in my room one day, and I was like trying to find a way to like get to like to speak to a personal trainer who could help me, and I you know, you're probably gonna think I'm just saying this now because it's comparing to health, but I just didn't know where to go. I didn't know who to email. I didn't know what to do. And it wasn't until obviously you started doing your personal training qualification and you dragged me along with you when I was there, and I was like, oh, you know, you showed me the basics, the foundations, and that helped massively. But I just know that if there was a platform out there back then, I could have just at least reached out to someone, a personal trainer or someone in that industry, and just got some advice. I mean, with our platform, you don't have to go in and, you know, buy some. You can just send an email or an instant chat to someone and just get chatting to a specialist. And then if they're willing to help, they're willing to help. And
it speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It speaks for itself.
So
So if we move on to the second picture then, can you explain why this one is significant in your journey?
Yeah, so the second picture is my mum and dad. So again, as cliche as it may be, but obviously they, you know, everyone always says that they've got like, you know, the best mum or the best dad or whatever. But without them, you know, definitely wouldn't be the person I am today. And it's not until you grow up and, you know, you're an adult and you have to fend for yourself, you're paying, you know, mortgage bills, rent, everything else, and you realise that how, you know, mentally strong parents could be. I mean, I grew up in Pentrabane, and I remember me and my brother and my sister, there's like 3 years between us, so we're all 3 or 4 years, sorry, we're all pretty close in age. My mum obviously had to look after us at a young age. So there was just one wage, my dad's wage coming in, and he would do like night shift, day shift, whatever he could. He come over from Italy and he didn't have a lot of qualifications. When he came over, he couldn't even speak the language. Do you know what I mean? So, he can't speak it now. No, he can. He come over and he was just working any job that he could. Yeah. You know, he wasn't a bum. He was out there. He was grafting whatever he could. My mum was looking after us, and I remember my mum saying not long ago, and it really hits home when you actually think about it, that after they paid for, you know, like rent, because I think we were renting back then. Oh yeah, we definitely didn't own the house that we were living in Pentrabane. Renting, paid the rent, the bills, and then food. And by the way, when we were growing up, me and my brother and my sister, we would never go to restaurants. And this isn't a dig at my mum and dad, but this is just the harsh reality of we couldn't afford to go to restaurants. We did not go to restaurants. Yeah. So, you know, after the food as well, and my mum would do whatever she could. She didn't want to like feed us like junk all the time, so she'd try and, you know, she'd home cook meals and stuff. So after food and everything else, my mum was saying they'd have £25 a week left to.
Crazy.
I remember my mum saying that like she didn't buy herself clothes for like 2 years, something crazy like that. Like 2 years, she didn't buy herself one item of clothing. Sacrifices, and like I know you come up from a similar background as well. So, I owe them the world, and I will pay them back eventually. Yeah. But that's another one of my reasons why, is because I want to get to a position of success where I can help them, and I can help my family, and I can help my close friends. Because, you know, a lot of people might be like, oh, well, shouldn't you just be grateful with what you've got? I am grateful for what I've got. But, you know, you can't pour from an empty cup. If your cup's empty, how are you meant to help other people?
Exactly.
If you've got a full cup, then I can help you, and 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 I can help as many people as I can, because I've got the stability, I've got the financial stability to help as many people as possible. So,
do you feel like you have almost like a personal responsibility to give back to your parents for the sacrifices they've made for you and your brother and your sister?
Plays on my mind, like, honestly, weekly. I think about it weekly. I think I need to pay them back. I need to whatever I can do to.
And the sad part is, our parents, like mine included, would be more than happy just seeing you happy. Yeah. So like they don't want anything with us. Do you know what I mean?
They don't want a thing. Yeah.
Like, I feel the same way as you. Yeah. Like, you know, we both grew up in the same area. Yeah. and just seeing our parents struggle, sort of thing. We want to give back to them just because they sacrifice so much for our upbringing and everything like that. So, yeah, definitely, I agree with you 100% on that one. And that brings us on to the third picture. So, can you talk to us about the third picture and why this one is significant in your journey?
Yeah, so obviously this third picture is me and Ryan. Kind of speaks for itself, really. I think if I hadn't met Ryan, I think we met in 2019. That's when we first met, but obviously, you know, compare the health proof of concept didn't start till like 2020. It was during the pandemic we were actually like properly planning it, and then 2020, the end of 2021, just before 2022, we actually went live. Then whole of 2022, and now we're pretty much in start of 2023. So yeah, if it wasn't for meeting Ryan, I wouldn't be here sat talking to you. So
with the merch
with
on as
with
well.
the merch, yeah. So yeah, I think it's just massive. And Ryan, like we said, you've met Ryan as well. He's such a genuine, such a nice guy, man. And if anyone deserves massive, you know, success and to be able to provide for their friends and family, it's definitely him as well. So yeah, meeting him is definitely a huge turning point. And weirdly enough, I remember being in my old retail job and saying to the boys in there, I remember saying I will, because this is when I started really thinking like, oh, actually, I think I want to kind of get in the health and fitness sector. And I remember saying I will be successful within the health and fitness industry. It doesn't matter how, I know I will. And
they do say, sorry to cut in, but they do say that you become successful in your mind way before you become successful in real life.
Yeah.
And you saying that there from years ago. It's evident with you as well.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like I said, I haven't made it. I don't have all the answers. We're not where we want to be at the moment. We're improving and increasing. Like every month, every couple of months, every year, we look back and we're like, whoa, from where it was and where we are now, like every 6 months or so, we're like, wow, we've evolved a lot. A hell of a lot when I look back. So, you know, we are going in the right direction. We're not where we want to be yet, but yeah, watch this space.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you. So just to finish off the episode of this podcast, is there a single sort of, I don't know, top tip, if you will, for watchers, aspiring entrepreneurs who may be watching this podcast? What would you like to give them in terms of a top tip that they can take from this podcast and go forward with?
Invest in your team wisely. That would be 100% my main tip. Is, you know, me and Ryan have started to, well, when we first started, there's just so much trust and transparency there, and so much integrity that we'd never go behind each other's back. We wouldn't say anything bad. Like we wouldn't do anything to jeopardize our relationship. And we've kept that culture now with Chris as well, and it's the same with Chris. There's never any animosity with anything. You know, we don't always agree on ideas that we all have. That's fine. We can thrash it out in a civilized manner. But you know, we want to really create that culture of trust, integrity, transparency. And this fourth individual that's coming on, we've all said like he offers so much from a knowledge standpoint. But if we didn't trust him, we wouldn't even, you know, think about negotiating with him. But we've had, you know, a few meetings with him now and spoke to him quite a bit, and he's giving off that same vibe of just trustworthy, integral, just down to earth, nice guy. So yeah, invest in your team wisely and stay consistent.
Amazing. So this basically draws the podcast to a close, but before we leave, is there anyone that you can think of who you think would be a good guest to come on the Capable Minds podcast? Obviously, we're not guaranteeing that we can get them on, but it would be interesting to get your views and who you think would be a good guest or good guests.
I'm going to go with, just because what he's doing at the moment, and I actually had a conversation with him fairly recently, what he's doing at the moment is amazing. And I think he was nominated for Startup of the year in Cardiff or Wales. But Lawrence Thompson with Supplio, and Dario is his business partner, the co-director as well. They both founded the company. But yeah, I think he'd be a great person to have on, because he's really doing well, and he's a good guy, man, Lawrence. And yeah, he'd have some good insights.
Yeah, just for the viewers watching, what is Supplio and what does Lawrence do?
Again, sorry, Lawrence, if I butcher any of this, but
just a brief insight.
Yeah, it's to do with recruitment, essentially. So he recruits teachers. Well, his company recruits teachers.
Yeah.
But yeah, him and his business partner Dario have started this recruitment company from themselves, from the ground up. And yeah, like I said, I think they've been nominated for awards. They might have even won some awards. I've seen on their LinkedIn and stuff. So yeah, I think he'd be a great guest to have on. Yeah, he's going to have a lot of insight.
Definitely a conversation to be had.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on anyway. Go check out Compare the Health on socials and their website. I'm going to link the websites in the bio down there. So if you do want to go and have a look, then click the link. As always, please like, subscribe our channel as it helps us grow, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, mate. See you soon.
Thank you.
Capable Minds Podcast.